Judge Freya is not going to add to that decision with prejudice. She says that it's implied. And the clerk wrote me a letter, so much as saying that, and I saw Judge Freya at the induction of the judges, and she says it's implied. I don't particularly like that. For one thing, she said it in open court, and I have an audio tape of it. She said that this case will be dismissed with prejudice. But she says that Lydia Gallicano can never bring that action again, whether she says in the decision with prejudice or whether she doesn't say that. So that's where that one stands. So I guess the Lydia Gallicano thing is over. I guess it's really over. I guess it's over. That's good. It's been going on since November of 1990. No, really since January and February of 1993. So I guess it's over. And we won the last round. Folks, whenever a tenant beats a landlord in this crooked world that we have, with lying lawyers and crooked courts, whenever a tenant beats a landlord, that is significant. No matter how crooked the world is, and how lying, thieving, and cheating it is, people still have a sense of humor. So let us close with 3 jokes. And the popularity of antiques in America today is really something. Right now, there are 25 million Americans who have things that are old, funny looking, don't work, and are kept around for sentimental purposes. Some people call them antiques, some people call them husbands. The sergeant said to his men, "This bullet will penetrate 2 feet of solid wood, so remember, men, keep your heads down." And John used to use Head and Shoulders, but now he uses Mop and Glow. This is Glendora, a chat with Glendora. God bless you folks, and keep your courage flaming. To a chat with Glendora. And we're going to start off with some jokes. We just got a telephone call from a woman in Manhattan who watches the program down there, and she wanted some help standing up for her rights, and she also wanted a happy book. The program in Manhattan, you folks down in Manhattan, you're not going to see anything but Michael Gelman, a record of his law-breaking for 4 weeks. You're going to see that on Manhattan Cable TV and Paragon Manhattan Cable TV. The record is very bad. Here it is. It's all over a man who breached a contract and said he would look at my videotape, and then he never returned it. And it's a $120 lawsuit with the fees and interest comes up to $190. Can you believe that? And then, of course, we have the audio tapes that are going. So yesterday I was from 2 o'clock to 5:30 p.m. under the with the help of Fred Strauss and Rita at White Plains Public Access. We got these programs on Michael Gelman. We got a record on those on videotape, and they will be put on television, as I told you, Manhattan Cable TV. So this is a fight with Cablevision Harrison back in 1991. And I listened to these conversations from 1991 and 1992. The Harrison town board, not the board, but the mayor, was everything that a person shouldn't be. And the town clerk also, they were afraid to have me speak before the town board meetings because they couldn't handle it. And a lot of things that were being done against the open meetings law. And I could have sued Cablevision way back then in 1991 because they exercised editorial control over my program and took it off of TV. In other words, they prohibited it and limited it. So with the Michael Gelman audio tapes, folks, here's the schedule. When you take today, this is the 26th of January. Well, you can see we're behind a couple of days because we're listening to audio tape 160 right now. But that's not bad when you consider for 75 hours. Wait, I think we're...
Oh boy, they're lying.
Let's see. This is audio tape 164. So the last one for Tuesday is 165, and then we do Wednesdays and Thursdays. So we're just 2 days behind in that. When you consider that 75 hours was taken out of our lives to oppose the poor motion of the Larkin lawyers to dismiss our complaint, where we have 1,700 tortious acts were committed against us. Okay, so that's where we are in the audio tapes. Now, let's take a look at the log down here. And let's see, I also got to tell you today's jokes. This one we did. As for what is happening on modern courts, I saw Colabella at the induction of judges. He was upset that I was videotaping him, and the judge next to him was even more upset and kept glaring at me. I don't know who the judge was next to him, but Colabella had told him that I was videotaping him. And he must have told him a whole lot more. So that's the fun for ancient courts. We're waiting for a date from the court to go and have a hearing on the rip-off attorney fees of a crooked lawyer named Edmund Purvis over in Larchmont. And that's, again, the fun for ancient courts. That would be Elizabeth Hubbard. Poor Mother Hubbard went to her cupboard. And Alan Beck and Michelle Mayapath. So that's where that standing is now. And I have to write, I don't think the perfection of that appeal is due for like a couple of months. So, I was going to tell you how many hours have been spent on Michael Gelman because he doesn't believe in returning a person's property or making good for it. And he doesn't believe in keeping a contract. And that's $120 with the costs and the interest, $190. 303 and a quarter hours have been spent on Michael Gelman, and $68 has been spent on Michael Gelman. Yesterday I was 3.5 hours just about editing the videotapes that read to you my reply affidavits to DiGiulio and to, come on up, Ginny, Bigelow. I hope they grant my summary judgment, and they being the City Court of the City of Manhattan, City of New York, small claims. Jokes. It says in the Bible that the very hair... Wait just a second, I have to take care of Ginny. Come on, baby. There you go. Here she comes. Come on, baby. Come on. There you go. Can't quite make it, Ginny. Ah. She has that, you know, that injury from when she was a baby. Let me help her. Over here, baby. And I'll lift you up. Can you come over here? And jump the way other cats do this, whatever that injury was. Everything in your way? Here, let me get things over here for you, so you can come over and see the people. Come on. Come on, baby. Come on. Right over here. There's a nice kitty. There she be. Anyway, what were we saying? 303 hours. Yesterday, 3.5 hours, or almost. Well, we'll say, yeah, 3 hours to edit that bad chronology that's going to be on Manhattan Cable TV for 4 weeks. All right, so we were talking about the jokes. And we read in the Bible that the very hairs of our head are numbered, and Peter says in his case it gets a little easier each year to take the inventory. And the individual retirement account is a terrific deal, folks. If you put in $2,000 a year, you can deduct taxes on it for 30 years until you are a millionaire, and then we all know that millionaires do not pay taxes. And a woman entered a bank, and she said, I'd like to open up 2 accounts, a checking account for me and a deposit account for my husband. This is their subpoena, duces tecum, for the audio tapes and for the videotapes and for papers, which I would have brought anyway. And I brought in about 660 audio tapes, and I brought in 3 or 4 videotapes to the Small Claims Court in Manhattan on December 5th. And after paying about $150 to have this personally served on me, DiGiulio paid no attention to it. So that's what happened on Glendora versus Michael Gelman on the week of January the 19th to today, January the 26th. Folks, when I came out from videotaping the judges at the induction of the judges, this was on my automobile. My car was parked in the county courthouse tower in the parking ramp down in the basement underground. I like it when people do this. How about the county clerk taking space from land records to build himself a bathroom and shower while cutting back on staff? How about the county clerk taking space from land records to build himself a bathroom and shower while cutting back on staff? Well, county clerk, did you do this? Did you cut back on staff? And did you take space from land records to build yourself a bathroom and shower? Is it true? If it's true, he certainly shouldn't do that. He can go to the bathroom where everybody else goes to the bathroom. And he doesn't deserve a shower any more than anybody else deserves a shower at work. Is this political? But I like it when people look to me as somebody who stands up for rights and asks me, there's no name on this, that's too bad, the person who wrote it shouldn't be a coward. So we have to stand up for right, but you have to find out what is right first. What else happened on the chat with Glendora last Thursday? Franco and I did brilliantly on the programs. We edited 4.5 programs. White Plains we edited, at White Plains Public Access we edited 4.5 more. That is too many. That's 8 half-hour programs in a week to cover all of the law breaking of people. On Friday, it was so bad that I had to come and videotape for another hour on the law breaking of DiGiulio, Gelman, and Bigelow. Clean our house this week because of spending 75 hours on the cross motion not to dismiss my complaint of 1,700 tortious acts by Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin, and their lawyers, and the courts. On Sunday, this was very interesting. We went to church, of course. You have to do that. And then afterwards we went over to the Center for Judicial Accountability, and there were 30 people there who had horror stories rather, to tell about judges, corrupt judges. And it was very interesting. We were there 3.5 hours. So that's the Center for Judicial Accountability. And a man, Harvey Cass, came up from Nassau. All day Monday, as you know, we worked on that cross motion. Do not dismiss our complaint. Judge Wood, I'm going to read that to you momentarily. Yes, this was good. After we videotaped the induction of the judges, we went to the open house of the Pace Law School, Pace University Law School here in White Plains, and it was interesting. We didn't get there in time to eat, but we did a lot of eating over at the county courthouse tower at the party that Judge Ingracia gave us. And thank you for that, Judge Congracia. You were our host. And then after D'Agostino spoke, she's the admissions officer for Pace University Law School, and she spoke. And then 30 of us went to a law class, and it was a law class in civil procedure, and you know all about that because you and I lived through this. You know, when you're going to file a complaint and somebody's broken the law, somebody's taken your rights, and you file your complaint. And then the question that they were dealing with that night was who has jurisdiction, and who does the court have personal jurisdiction. And this professor was superb. His name is Dornberger. He was magnificent, and he just really kept things going, and he's just so capable. And it was really a stimulating session, and there were about 300 students there. You know, there's an old joke about that. A businessman is being walked around the campus by the president of the college, and the president is showing him this, this, and that, and the businessman says, how many students do you have here? And the president of the college says, oh, I would say 75% of them. Anyway, there was a stimulating, I saw their textbook, which costs now $50. When I went to college, the textbook cost $5. And these people are all in night school, and they must have jobs or something, but I don't know why they want to be lawyers. Why would anyone want to be a lawyer or a judge? That's the two worst ways you could spend your life, I think. And so that was very interesting Tuesday, and I got home in time for 9:15 to watch half of a chat with Glendora on Channel 8. And a couple of the people there attending the class said they'd see me on television. So I believe that that's pretty much what has happened from last week, January the 19th to January the 26th today. So two things kept me from being a professional athlete. When I played baseball, I could never hit a curveball, and when I played golf, I always could. Eddie and Paul said they are not playing Major League Baseball today because of sinus problems. Really? Yes, we couldn't get anybody to sign us. Well, nobody is playing Major League Baseball today. I think that's horrible, that baseball strike. As the minister in church said last Sunday, they should have got Calvin Coolidge to resolve the baseball strike. And the newspaper reporter said to the little old lady, have you lived in Westchester all your life? And the little old lady says, not yet. I am going to tell you what happened, the law breaking of Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin for the week of January 7th to January 16th. I should have read that to you a long time ago, but I didn't have the logs. Here's a whole bunch of police reports, and there's a whole lot more to be done, and I haven't had time to call up Officer Fisher, so that's going to take a long time to report those. And this is what happened. We have the noisy Pontiac of Nella. It's outrageous. It's worse. It sounds like a diesel truck. Nella blew her horn at 7:50 a.m. and Franklin said it was at nothing and that she blew it at you. That was Tortious Act number 1647. On the 7th, Friday, Franklin notarized and served and submitted Glendora shows cause why her freedom of speech should not be violated, and sending the rip-off reports about Koza, Cousins, Comboy, Wilson, Bave, Odell, McGrath, and Karamitzos to the insurance company, where the shareholders are being ripped off, paying all these court stenographer fee, not court reporters, but you know, those stenographers. $600 for their minutes, and paying Koza for all of those deposition fees, and paying them for all of the dumb papers that they get out to delay the case from going to court, going to trial. From 5:35 p.m. to 6 p.m. on January 7th, Franklin and Glendora were reporting what happened in Judge Freer's court Wednesday. Glendora was calling out the words. Franklin was doing the typing. We were in the northeast bedroom. The light was on. James Walsh could see us. From the courtyard, he kept shouting and hollering in violation of the White Plains noise ordinance. We ignored him, and then he hollered Glendora, and we ignored that, and then he tried whistling, which is more violation of the White Plains noise ordinance. And finally, at 6 p.m., he gave up, and he went upstairs to his apartment where he belongs in the first place. That was 25 minutes times 3 laws broken equals 75 tortious acts. That is grounds for eviction. We do not have a right to sit in our home peacefully without being harassed, disturbed emotionally, and disturbed by noise by a juvenile delinquent. On January the 8th, 1995, Sunday, when Glendora returned from church at noon, Roberta, as many times as she has in the past, sex whistled out her second-floor kitchen window at Glendora. It's stupid, and that's 3 laws broken. At 5:13 p.m., James Walsh makes excessive noise going up the stairs. The same 3 laws are broken as by his mother. The kid doesn't have a chance for a normal life. No parental guidance. Mary Ann did not do the halls and the cellar this week. The mess is still in the hall of Building A. Add up the number of tortious acts for the week of January the 2nd is 1,728, 10 1/4 hours, $21, and we're up to page 2,290 of the Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin law breaking. 2,292 pages are a mess because I don't get a chance to do my work because of their law breaking. That's what the woman from Manhattan called up today about the Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin case. And she is having problems with her neighbors breaking the law. So she was very glad to see the help that this program could be to her. And now, here's the log of January the 9th, 1995, Monday. Nella, noisy Pontiac exhaust leak. It's worse, the air pollution and the noise pollution. Why don't they get that fixed? At 5:30 p.m., a chat with Glendora was on TV, Channel 14, White Plains. The time has been moved. I request for the time to be moved. It was on Monday, and everybody's loafing about 10 or 14 Mondays in the year, and we lose 14 programs, so now the program's on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. And when Nella was driving out, the program was on, and it was about her. Maybe she was trying to drown it out with her noisy exhaust system. Glendora has made the decision to amend her complaint and increase the damages from $7,000 per family to $21,000 per family, equals $63,000 total. At 7:30 p.m., we made a master of the wall log. Here is another police report. The other things you've heard about, how we won the United States Court of Appeals and how we won the case in Small Claims Court, White Plains, against Lydia Gallicano. At 5:20 p.m. was Nella noise again. We videotaped an edited wall on Friday the 12th. On Friday the 13th, January the 13th, there was another torn up wall log again in the hallway. The first one that I told you about was cleaned up in the middle of the week. Our prime suspect on that, it would be Daniel Walsh. Roberta Walsh at 3:40 p.m. blasted her horn twice under Glendora's dining room window, violation of the noise ordinance, violation of the vehicle and traffic law, and harass, intent to annoy and alarm, and also to inflict intentionally emotional disturbance. At 10:48 p.m., Nella Alpucci went by Glendora's south bedroom window. This is at 2 minutes to 11, an hour before midnight. She went by Glendora's bedroom window and called, "Hi, Glendora, how are you?" And she banged her fist on Glendora's window twice, just to wake Glendora up. That's A, harass, B, emotional disturbance. And that was the night, Friday the 13th, I believe, that we started making the cross motion not to dismiss Glendora's motion. Can you imagine Judge Wood dismiss a motion on a complaint like this? Here are more police reports. How many police reports do you think there are against these people? Here's more. It cost us $1 to buy these police reports, buy the copies. It was 50 degrees, thank God. We've had the most beautiful weather all winter, all fall. Our weather has been beautiful since August. The noise you hear is Ginny playing in her cardboard box. And we've had no snow. We had a ground sprinkling a couple of times, ground cover. The notice was handed in to Judge Wood that we were increasing the damages from $21,000 to $63,000. And here's the score for the week. It was an hour and a half on Walsh. The costs were $1, and it's 1,741 tortious acts. And we're up to page 2,298. All a record of law breaking. Again, here's a list of to whom this law goes every week. It's 26 people. And that brings us up to what happened on the week of January the 16th. And this log, I haven't had time to finish it and get it out, but it will go out. I guess we'll have to send out a log for 2 weeks in one mailing. So we got 1,747 tortious acts. The Lincoln has passed its inspection with no air pollution. Nella car hardly runs. It needs repair. Noise and air pollution with a leaky exhaust. And here's good old Bob Hope. Wonder how he's doing. He was a nice man. He was good to me when I was out in Hollywood working for NBC. It was in the year 1951, 52. Okay. Okay, now here starts this 75-hour marathon on the cross motion to answer Dippy Karamitso's childish paper on to dismiss our complaint. There's no way that complaint can be dismissed, and you will hear why when I read you that. And so here it is, the arduous and painful working on that for 75 hours. There's Sunday. Started Friday, Saturday, it ruined a weekend, Sunday, Monday. So let me just read you the stats for last week. Oh, I got to tell you about this, that Sunday morning we do our laundry around 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock. Because nobody is using the nice machines then. So at 6:20 a.m. Daniel Walsh starts down the stairs from his apartment on the second floor to go wherever, and he hears us in the cellar, so he deliberately turns around and he comes down the cellar steps and he comes into the cellar deliberately, and he said and he crossed through the cellar and started out the east door. And he said, "Have you sent out any letters lately?" And of course we said nothing to him. We will not speak to him, and we haven't spoken to him for a year and 8 months, I believe it is, because things are bad enough, and if you ever spoke to him, that would be more fights. "Have you sent out any letters lately?" And we said nothing. He said as he crossed the cellar going east toward the east door, "That was a nice one you sent out the other day." We said nothing. He exited the east door of the cellar. He went up the stairs. cellar, so he deliberately turns around and he comes down the cellar steps and he comes into the cellar, deliberately. And he said, and he crossed through the cellar and started out the east door, and he said, "Have you sent out any letters lately?" And of course we said nothing to him. We will not speak to him, and we haven't spoken to him for a year and 8 months, I believe it is, because things are bad enough, and if you ever spoke to him, that would be more fights. "Have you sent out any letters lately?" And we said nothing. He said as he crossed the cellar going east toward the east door, "That was a nice one you sent out the other day." We said nothing. He exited the east door of the cellar. He went up the stairs, headed north. He turned east to go along the sidewalk, and then he turned south to go toward the field, and then he turned west to go out the driveway, which is where he was headed in the first place. He must have been on something. Normal people do not act that way. He just cannot learn to leave us alone. He went all the way out of his way to do this. 3 intentional inflictions of emotional disturbance, 3 insulting and abusive language, 3 harass, annoy, and disturb with no legitimate purpose. He was trying to start a fight. So that's why we don't talk to him. So there is another report for TV, as Karamitso whines, that the defendants are complaining that these reports are on TV and that they are the topic of conversation and they are the topic of jests. Well, okay, the answer to that is cause and effect. What causes them to be on TV? Breaking the law and harassing us and intentionally inflicting emotional disturbance. That's what causes them on TV. If they don't want to be on TV, then stop it. And that's the way it's been for 1 year and 11 months. So every time they do it, that's a cause, and the effect is a report in print and on TV. At 6 p.m., James Walsh, his son, did the same thing his father did at 6 a.m. Sunday. At 6 p.m. Sunday, James Walsh, the son, did the same thing that his father did at 6 a.m. Sunday. Like father, like son. James whistles, that's against the White Plains noise ordinance, and roller skated under our south bedroom window from the southwest corner of our apartment, just from our apartment, to the southeast corner of our apartment for 45 minutes. So that's number 45 times 3 equals 135 tortious acts. He too was trying to pick a fight. He gave up at 6:45 p.m. and went upstairs where he belongs. At 9 a.m., Francisco and 2A gave Glendora a boost on the Lincoln. I went over to ask him for a boost, and his wife said he's sleeping. I said, "Oh, well, fine, thank you, don't wake him up." And the next thing I know, his wife tapped on the window and said, he's coming. What a neighbor. What a great neighbor. That's Francisco and 2D, Francisco and Patricia. And he boosted the car just like that so he could go to church. Nella blew her horn 6 times Friday afternoon. Friday night there was a big rain. Saturday morning there were 6 huge puddles in the cellar, and the drain has to be cleaned, and the building department has told the landlord to do that, and we need a superintendent here to take that water and sweep it into the trough so that it will go to the sump pump and out of the cellar. That we need a superintendent. The halls in the cellar were not clean. There's a Walsh pile of litter still outside of our apartment door where they tore up a log into maybe 40 pieces and left it dumped outside of our... I haven't figured up the number of tortious acts because I haven't had time because of taking 75 hours to cross-move that our complaint be not dismissed. And on Monday, let's see, Monday was all day on Walsh. Franklin was typing up to page 58. I was writing it, I was answering it. I do the writing and he does the typing. So all day was squandered on the law breaking of Walsh, Alpucci, and Larkin. These were all of the things that I had to do on it. A great big long list. And we got it done. As I say, it took 75 hours. Tuesday, Frank did copying on it, and And the other work that had to be done on it, the affidavits of service. Construction. This is from the CPLR, the Civil Practice Laws and Rules. The Civil Practice Law and Rules shall be liberally construed to secure the just, speedy, and inexpensive determination of every civil judicial proceeding. You've heard what I've gone through. Would you say it's just? Would you say it's speedy? Would you say it's inexpensive? No. The courts are broken down, folks. They are broken down. They don't work anymore, the courts. The wall log is up to 2,456 pages. These are the affidavits of service. This is a return letter. And the time for service of notice and affidavits. A notice of motion and supporting affidavit shall be served at least 8 days before the time at which the motion is noticed to be heard. Answering affidavits shall be served at least 2 days before such time. Answering affidavits shall be served at least 5 days before such time if a notice of motion served at least 10 days before such time so demands. So if they serve you the motion and the notice of motion 10 days before the return date, then you have to serve your answer 5 days before the return date. If they don't, you have to serve your answer 2 days, I guess. That's not right. You don't have to serve your answer until the return date. Yeah, answering affidavits shall be served at least 2 days before such time. Well, anyway, all the papers are serving. Standing before Judge Wood are 3 motions, one for all videotapes and audio tapes, which was sort of shunted aside at the conference on January the 18th. Cousins said that we would hold in abeyance the audio tapes, but that he would go with the 2 that I suggested he go with instead of 666 audio tapes and 200 videotapes, each anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours long. So that was a screwball motion that Odell made. Angels rush in, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Right? Right. So those are the logs all read and up to date. And this is the Dippy This is the Dippy motion to dismiss my complaint. You've heard this for 1 year and 8 months. All the tortious acts committed by Walsh, Pucci, and Larkin. This is by the Larkin lawyers to dismiss the Larkin complaint. And that just better hadn't happened. And here is my answer to same. And I believe it's 150 pages. So right after the jokes, we will start working on that. I'm reading that to you. Harry made his waterbed more comfortable. Do you know how he did it? How did Harry make his waterbed more comfortable? He put water softener in it. And John, the athlete, was filling out an application, and when he came to the part, whom do we notify in case of an accident? John put down a good doctor. And did you hear about the problem that the national hockey team had? The last game of the playoffs conflicted with their home opener. Supreme Court, State of New York, County of Westchester, Glendora plaintiff against Daniel Walsh, Roberta Walsh, James Walsh, Nella Alpucci, Theo Alpucci, Andrew Larkin, and Kevin Larkin. Honorable Harold Wood, index number 20,482 cases, 1993. Notice of cross motion by Glendora. That's a lot of cases for a court to have. But we have so many cases because people break so many laws and because we don't have good courts. Please take notice that upon the annexed affirmation of Glendora, sworn to on this 23rd day of January 1995, the attached memorandum of law and all the pleadings and proceedings for head herein, the undersigned will move this court before the Honorable Judge Harold Wood at the Supreme Court, 111 Grove Street, White Plains, New York, on the 30th day of January, 1995 at 9:30 a.m. of that day or as soon thereafter as plaintiff can be heard for an order. A, to deny Karamitso's motion to dismiss Glendora's complaint pursuant to CPLR 3211B, as defendants have no meritorious defense and never will have, and what they stated as a defense has no merit. 2, to deny Karamitso's motion for summary judgment. 3, to deny Karamitso's motion for sanctions and costs against Glendora. 4, to sanction Karamitso's, Comboy, Koza, Cousins, Odell, McGrath for their frivolity, wasting time, delays, sloppy work, and obstructing justice. 5, that Judge Wood recuse himself for his favoring of the Cousins team because of having known Cousins' father, for the spite and malice of his arrogant law clerk, Paul Carlucci, for the bad record of this court failing to get this case certified as ready for trial. 6, granting Glendora each such other, further, and different relief as this court may deem just and proper, dated White Plains, New York, January the 23rd, 1995. Yours in truth, Glendora, Box 416, White Plains, New York, 10602, 914-949-9495. 2, Alexander Karamitsos, Wilson Babe, Kozub, Comboy, Cousins, McGrath, Odell, et al., 2 William Street, White Plains, New York, 10601. To Bruce Bendish, attorney, 399 Norwood Road, Elmsford, New York, 10603. That's really, and to Judge Trafficante, he's the head of the Office of Court Administration for courts outside the city of New York. For Judge Malonis, who is head of the Office of Court Administration for the courts in the city of New York. To Judge Kay and to Judge Ingracia. Glendora, being duly sworn, deposes and says her reasons follow for cross-moving this court to dismiss the Larkin lawyer's motion to dismiss her complaint. 1, Karamitsos does not declare under penalty of perjury. Therefore, not one line of her motion can be taken as the truth. She is not fully familiar with the facts and circumstances of this case. She has not even met Glendora. She has never visited the scene of the Larkin torts. She has never seen any videotapes nor audio tapes, and much, much more. An affidavit notarized would be much more convincing than an attorney's affirmation. Who can believe in an attorney? This alone shows Karamitsos is not telling the truth and is not fully familiar with the facts and circumstances. This motion to dismiss Glendora's complaint is written by the lawyers for Andrew and Kevin Larkin. Neither Karamitsos nor Wilson Babe, Koza, Cousins, Odell, or McGrath represents Daniel, Roberta, and James Walsh, Ornella, and Theo Alpucci. The Walshes and Alpucci's are purportedly represented by Bruce Bendish, but Bendish has failed to show and has been silent through October, November, and December 1994 and January 1995. This is the first time these lawyers ever sent a copy of their answer to the court. Glendora was the first to notify the court that Wilson, Babe, Karamitsos were in on this case. This is how badly they defaulted and how badly Judge Wood covered his old buddy, Cousins' father. Glendora takes note that Judge Wood does not have oral arguments on motions. Everything is on paper. It is not a court at all. It is a correspondence school. Nevertheless, Glendora now requests in writing an oral argument January the 30th, 1995 at 9:30 a.m. on this meritless motion to dismiss her complaint. The verbose notice of motion in defiance of CPLR, which requires conciseness, is amateurish in stating the recorded announcement, no cause of action, CPLR 3211A. 7. It is addressed sirs. Glendora is not a sir. This is the usual sloppy work of Wilson, Babe, Comboy, Koza, Cousins, McGrath, Odell, and Karamitsos. Karamitsos is wrong not to provide the plaintiff with the exhibits sent to others. This is another reason she has an affirmation instead of an affidavit notarized. She doesn't even list an index of the exhibits. How does Glendora know? Her pages are not numbered, just as Odell's were not. What kind of a law firm is this? In addition to their lies and crookedness, they can't give you a copy of the exhibits, nor a table of contents of same, nor number their pages. Karamitsos writes, particulars, plaintiff's complaint purports to allege various causes of action for intentional and negligent infliction of emotional distress by the defendants in this matter, but Glendora says to that, keep the record straight. Glendora has 4 causes of action against police officer Andrew Larkin of the Harrison Police Force and his son Kevin. A, intentional infliction of emotional disturbance with no physical effect. B, insulting and abusive language. C, harassment. A person is guilty of the offense of harassment when, with intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person, he engages in a course of conduct or repeatedly commits acts which alarm or seriously annoy another person and which serve no legitimate purpose. Violation of the White Plains Noise Ordinance, yelling, shouting, hooting, whistling, or singing at any time or place so as to annoy or disturb the quiet, comfort, repose, health, or peace of persons in any dwelling or other residence. That is your right, folks. And the White Plains Police, it is their duty to protect you from that. Here is a statement of these causes of action as it appeared in Glendora Shows Cause, January the 6th, 1995. Abusive, insulting, and humiliating language and disturbing utterances, profanity, and obscenity. Intent to annoy and alarm with no legitimate purpose, intentional infliction of emotional disturbance with no physical effect, extreme and outrageous conduct intentionally inflicted to cause severe emotional distress, so extreme in degree to go beyond all possible bounds of decency and be regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in a civilized society. A deliberate, malicious, and vindictive campaign of same from April the 12th, 1993 to the present, Christmas 1994, 1 year and 8 months ago, and with full knowledge that emotional disturbance would result, violation of the White Plains Noise Ordinance. Glendora quotes from her complaint, not once on each law broken, but scores of time on each law. The total at present is 1,200 tortious acts heaped upon this plaintiff. Well, now, folks, it's 1,700, for which the Judge Wood Court in 1 year and 2 months has done nothing to grant relief. Glendora would like to see Judge Wood or his law clerk, Paul Carlucci, take even 1/10 of this abuse. What you just read above is an accurate statement of the gravamen. What Karamitso's writes is, again, chocolate-covered cyanide. How would you, Judge Wood, like to have Kevin Larkin climb up the outside wall of your home and look into your bathroom window? Something he did in full view of both his father Andrew and his mother Patricia. How would you, law clerk Paul Carlucci, like to have 1,700 such invasions, intrusions, and injuries in your personal private life? Karamitsos writes, the basis of this litigation arises out of the infant defendants violating the White Plains Noise Ordinance and other such acts, including chewing gum, playing in the parking lot, having non-resident children visit the premises, and belching. Isn't that stupid? This is a cover-up, Glendora says, of what really happened. As Glendora says, Karamitsos is not fully aware of the facts and circumstances. This is why she does not declare under penalty of perjury, just the way 3 other lawyers did not, Comboy, Koza, and Odell. And just the way Karamitsos did in her so-called answer due December 1st, 1993, and not answered until January 5th, 1994, a default of 34 days. Which Judge Wood was derelict in allowing, and which he allowed because he was a nobody of Cousin's father. Here is the truth of what these lawbreakers really did and still do. Here are the facts and circumstances. Infant defendants, quote-unquote, is chocolate-covered cyanide for 3. Obstreperous, undisciplined, captious, obnoxious, violent, law-breaking, injury-heaping, foul-mouthed, profane, obscene boys who have no respect for society, neighbors, adults, D-Day veterans, the United States of America, the sacrilege of the Star-Spangled Banner 3 times, not for the state of New York, nor for the state of New York, nor is Theo Alpucci like an infant. He is now old enough to be driving an automobile and turning that into a weapon of torts and obscenity. Karamitsos says plaintiff's purported response to defendant's demand for a bill of particulars is even more outrageous than the complaint, in that plaintiff responded, that's so dumb. Read the complaint to almost every question obtained in the demand for a verified bill of particulars. Glendora says, that was true in January 1994. It is still true in January 1995. Read the complaint. These questions were already answered in the complaint. Not one of these lawyers, Karamitsos, Koza, Comboy, Odell, McGrath, ever did the homework. Karamitsos says since the date that the bill of particulars was mailed, January the 5th, 1994, this office, the court, and approximately 20 other individuals and entities have been endlessly bombarded with plaintiff's mounds of paper containing her ridiculous hyperbole, which serves as the basis of this action. Glendora. Karamitsos lies. Glendora has kept an orderly chronology of the 1700 tortious acts committed by the defendants, and Judge Wood has not done his job. Stop it and bring them to justice. Karamitsos lies shamelessly. The plaintiff was deposed on August 22, 1994, and as the court is well aware, had to return for a continued deposition based on the fact that she refused to respond to attorney Michael Kozer's questions. Glendora says, the truth is that Kozer bungled the same at the August 22, 1994 deposition as Karamitsos did with the January 5, 1994, 34 days in default, ignored by Judge Wood, bill of particulars. Kozer kept asking questions that were already answered in the complaint. Kozer was rude, abrasive, inept, and unqualified to take oral depositions. Bendish was an intruder. He waived discovery. Glendora objected to his intrusion. She has never heard from him nor seen him since. Kozer was guilty of asking questions at both depositions, August 22, 1994 and October 25, 1994, where the matter sought was related to an entirely unrelated litigation. That would be Savitsi versus General Motors Corporation. That's the case citation for this. He never should have been asking questions about an entirely unrelated litigation. Kozer was guilty of seeking disclosure that amounted to a poke-around expedition, using the disclosure process to harass and unduly burden plaintiff. The case on that is Schoonheim versus Schoonheim. C. Kozer was guilty of asking questions that failed to show any relevancy to the case at bar. And the case citation on that is Savitsi versus General Motors. Simply read the deposition transcript. Kozer's bad performance is a matter of written record. Glendora audio taped it and videotaped it and ran it on TV. Unexpurgated on her television program for 5 weeks on 2 cable TV systems covering Yorktown, Somers, Putnam Valley, Bedford, Mount Kisco and Armont, Harrison and Port Chester. By the time of the October 25, 1994 deposition, Kozer had his act together, improved his manners, did his homework, and asked smarter questions. Glendora was patient, honest, and diligent answering his questions. Kozer went back on his word, a dishonest thing to do, as Glendora noted in her corrections to the transcript. The most laughable incident of these 2 oral depositions was Kozer saying plaintively to plaintiff Glendora, "You aren't going to read the statutes again, are you?" Now, this is pretty funny. A lawyer afraid of a pro se reading the law to him. But Kozer said, "You have answered all of my questions and I am satisfied, thus the depositions are over." There was no need for them in the first place. They were an $800 ripoff of General Accident, who was Larkin's insurance company, a rip-off of the shareholders. Glendora has never been paid her witness fee of $15 for each of these 2 oral depositions, and this totals $30. Glendora has told the Judge Wood Court about this twice, and the Judge Wood Court has done nothing about it. When Glendora told Judge Wood in person at the January 18, 1995 conference, the judge said nothing. Ever the protector of Wilson, Babe, Comboy, Kozer, and Cousins? And Cousins said nothing. Karamitsos makes a fool of herself again. Attached here to is Exhibit E are copies of some of the plaintiff's outlandish and annoying correspondence forwarded to this office on a weekly basis. And Glendora says outlandish refers to the successive law-breaking of outlandish Kevin Larkin and his Harrison police officer father, Andrew, who encouraged him to break the laws. Annoying refers to Glendora's keeping the record every day and every week and publishing it on paper, on audio tape, and on television. The daily and weekly reports would have ceased when the Andrew Larkin law-breaking had ceased, and that of their law firm ceased. Try to read this to you in low-level light. At 600 watts. It's very hot. Glendora. Outlandish refers to the excessive law-breaking of Outlandish Kevin Larkin and his Harrison police officer father Andrew, who encouraged his son to break the law. Annoying refers to Glendora's keeping the record every day and every week, and publishing it on paper, on audio tape, and on television. The daily and weekly reports would have ceased when the Andrew Kevin law-breaking and that of their law firm ceased. Karamitso stoops lower than lower. As the court is well aware, the plaintiff has extensive experience in engaging in meritless and baseless litigation, lie, which have been dismissed and/or resulted in sanctions being issued against the plaintiff. Glendora has never engaged in meritless lawsuit yet. Glendora has never engaged in a baseless lawsuit yet. But several Westchester Supreme Court judges have destroyed the courts with grotesque decisions. Hearken to what the Center for Judicial Accountability writes. And Glendora has never been sanctioned. She has never been sanctioned. At this point, we are building national, this is what the Center for Judicial Accountability writes, national citizens organizations to deal with the problem of bad judges, judges who are incompetent and judges who are dishonest. Dishonesty means judges who knowingly disregard their ethical duties, disobey clear and controlling law, and who write decisions which fabricate or deliberately omit critical facts. By such incompetence and misconduct, these judges destroy individual lives, families, and businesses, and for ulterior reasons torpedo important cases in which the public incompetent and corrupt and the lawlessness of the courts and the indifference and complicity of the other branches of government. So that's the Center for Judicial Accountability. Every week on our TV program, Glendora puts up the graphic, not justice, but spite and malice. Crooked lawyers and corrupt courts. Karamitso says litigation which has been dismissed. Glendora observes, in true lying fashion, Karamitso omits the huge victories like Glendora versus Cofault Cablevision, state court, which forever protects the statutory rights of every public access producer in America. Then there is Glendora versus Cablevision, last week's victory in the United States Court of Appeals, Second Circuit, where Glendora won her appeal. Then there are the victories over greedy and abusive landlords, where Glendora stood up and won for tenants, both in the lower courts and on the appellate level. These are huge victories where a pro se beat a host of Park Avenue lawyers and a $1.5 billion corporation. Twice. Karamitso says and/or resulted in sanctions being issued against the plaintiff. She's off base again. Glendora's never been sanctioned. Judge Silverman said she was in contempt, but 15 minutes later he repented and scrubbed the contempt. Canon 3A, a judge should be courteous, patient, dignified. Karamitso's mentioned Glendora's versus Elizabeth Hubbard. Poor Mother Hubbard, she went to the cupboard. Alan Beck, Michelle Mayapath, and the Fund for Modern Courts. This is a famous case where spite and malice in the Judge Colabella court murdered justice. The defendants, the Court Reform Association, broke a New York state law, manipulated the judge and the law clerks, were fugitives from discovery, lied, stole, cheated, and covered up. And Judge Colabella, law clerk Raymond Powers, and court clerks T.J. Mallon and Stephen Kellner vented their spite and malice and splattered everything they could excavate at a pro se. His atrocious record all over New York and on television is trying to make amends. Glendora believes on January 18, 1995, Glendora was standing in line to go through security at the Westchester County Courthouse Tower to attend a Judge Wood conference. There were 400 people waiting to go through security, which is a violation of a person's civil rights and privacy. As she stood in line, a tall, slim, good-looking man exited. He looked at Glendora expecting good humor and a joke, but Glendora did not come forth with any because he was Judge Colabella, who injured Glendora unjustly. He said, "Hello, Glendora." Glendora nodded. He went by. Glendora turned to see what direction he'd gone in. Then he came back and said, "When do you want that hearing scheduled?" And Glendora hesitated and said nothing. He volunteered, "I'm doing it. I'm doing it." As if he was going to take care of things right. Glendora did not say anything. Judge Colabella said, when do you want me to schedule it? Glendora remained stone-faced and said, any time. Judge Colabella is a man who cannot be trusted and who cannot trust himself. Karen Mitzel's, in mentioning Glendora versus Gallicano, she wrote,